You know what's a question I get asked all the time? Which CPU, which graphics card, which motherboard do I need to buy in my budget? So that's why we've begun a series where we talk about what is the best thing for you to build. We started with a $500 build. Now today is that extra little sweet spot in the middle of $1,000 to $1,200. We're also going to be including a little extra for our South African people for a build of 20,000 Rand. So let's go. So just like the previous guide, this one's going to start off with the base of every system, the CPU. But which CPU do you need to get? Do you want to get Ryzen? Do you want to get Coffee Lake, KB Lake? What you gonna buy? Well, just like with the $500 build, unfortunately, I took a look at Coffee Lake, but motherboard pricing puts it way out of reach. The base level 8700K with the cheapest Z370 motherboard I could find costs over $400. There's just not enough room in the budget to afford that. So what are we gonna go with? Are we gonna go with a Ryzen 7 1700? Or are we gonna enjoy a little KB Lake action? The answer is neither. We're going to go with the Ryzen 5 1600 6-core 12-thread CPU. You should be able to get this puppy up to 4 gigahertz, maybe 3.9 if you're unlucky. But everything within this Ryzen 5 1600 should serve you good for gaming as well as streaming. Sure, it may not have the clock speed that Intel does, it may not have the IPC performance that you need, but the Ryzen 5 1600, especially with the motherboard selection, is still a fantastic value that even at the $1,000 build mark, it is the best bang for your buck that you can get. Super surprisingly, Intel's H-Gen Coffee Lake chips aren't well priced in South Africa either, so the Ryzen 5 1600 gets our choice from Wootware as well for the base level of the Czar build. So I kept talking about how motherboard selection is the reason we went with Ryzen over Coffee Lake. So which one are you going to get? You're going to get a B350 or you're going to get an X370? Well, that depends entirely on what you need. Basically, you can get a cheap X370 for the same price as a more expensive B350. What we're going to recommend in this build is the ASRock B350 Pro 4, which costs about $90, and then MSI's X370 Gaming Pro, which also goes for the same $90. Either one should be a good choice for this budget build. You're going to go $90 for the motherboard, and then you got the Ryzen 5 1600 to combat with it. And then in South Africa, the choice is a little easier. We're going to go with MSI's B350 PC Mate. That's going to be a good cost to performance for our system. But the real reason that we went with Ryzen 5 for the cheaper motherboard isn't so that we can just skimp on the CPU, but it's that we could spend a little bit of extra money on the GPU, which means we're going to pick up the 1070 Ti. Vega 56 is still way out of price. Now you're going to be able to grab this MSI 1070 Ti Aero 8GB for $470. But Brett, I hear you screeching, you said the 1070 Ti was stupid. And that is a truth that I actually stand by. The 1070 Ti doesn't need to exist. It's in a weird price point, and I don't like the fact that they didn't just cut the price on the 1080. However, the reason we're using it is because it falls perfectly within our budget. Going for even the cheapest 1080 is going to cost us about $70 more right now if we look at the pricing on Amazon. So the 1070 Ti from MSI is going to be our best bang for the buck since we can't get it at 1080 for cheap. Now, if we directly converted the $1,000 from the American build to the Czar build, that means we'd only have 12,500 Rand to work with, which means we couldn't afford a 1070 Ti, means we couldn't even afford a 1070. We'd have to pick up a 1066 gig if we were trying to go for that kind of budget, which is why we've done a 20,000 Rand build instead. This 20,000 Rand budget is going to allow us to pick up this Palette 1070 Ti Dual from Wootware at 7,800 Rand, which means you're going to get a ball-in system as well. Now for the part that single-handedly destroys all of the budgets this year, unfortunately, is the RAM. Now, I'd love to say that we can include 2 sticks of G-Skill's Trident Z RGB RAM because that would be amazing. Look at how gorgeous it is. But unfortunately, 16 gigs of it is going to set us back $230. So the RGB goodness is a no-go. No go. No slow. Go. Slow. No go. Hey. No. Thankfully, Corsair's Vengeance LED RAM is on sale for $180 right now for a 16 gig kit. That means you get 2666 megahertz with a white LED. It's not as good looking as the Trident Z RGB, but at least it falls in our budget. And 16 gigs is going to be more than enough for your gaming build. At least I hope it is. Unfortunately for the Czar build, we don't get any LEDs with our RAM. We have to go with this G-Skill Ripjaws 5 16 gig kit. It's priced at 3,329 RAM, but fortunately it's 3200 megahertz, which means it's going to be perfect for a Ryzen 5 system because you know that Ryzen loves that speedy RAM. For storage, we're going to go with the Samsung 850 EVO 500 gig SSD. It's going to cost us $130, but it's going to come with a 5-year warranty. It's going to be super fast reads and writes. Everything is going to move smoothly on your system. And unless you're a game hog, you should have more than enough storage space. Unfortunately for the Tsar build, we can't afford the A50 Evo. So we have to settle for the Western Digital 500GB SSD. It's going to cost us 2,500 Rand, only comes with a 3-year warranty, but it's going to be basically as speedy as the A50 Evo. Unfortunately, I don't have any props for this one, but for power supply, we're going to be going with Thermaltake Smart 500 watt digital 80 plus bronze power supply for $53. Semi-modular, but it's going to be everything that we need to power the 1070 Ti and the Ryzen 5 system. I'd love to get a modular or even semi-modular power supply for the Tsar build, but unfortunately we have to settle with this EVGA 500 watt from Wootware, which is not semi-modular at all. All of the cables just come flailing out like a normal power supply. So there we go, that's what we're going to be taking for the Tsar build. Now for the case where we're going to be storing everything. Everybody wants tempered glass. Everybody wants tempered glass. So we're going to be going with the Phanteks P400 tempered glass edition for about $80 in the US. Again, with the Tsar build, the 20,000 Rand budget really makes us still have to cut corners, even though it's significantly more than $1,000. With the case, we can't get the P400, but I really wanted tempered glass. Thankfully, Wootware is bringing in the P300 for 950 Rand, so that's the case we're going to be going with for this one. Tempered glass, fairly inexpensive, good quality from Phanteks, has all of the cable management that you're probably going to need, and even has AIO radiator support. So it's a perfect chassis for us here, although we're just going with the stock cooler on the Ryzen 5 for both builds, so you don't really need radiator support. But if you want to upgrade for higher budget later, then you can totally do that. That's your choice. So all of that brings us to $1,212.83 for the US build, and 20,494 Rand for the South African build. It's a little over budget, but hopefully you can squeeze out just a little bit of extra cash and you get the idea with where our recommendations are going for this build. Neither system will have any trouble with running 1080p at 144 Hz. You'll be good there. If you also want 1440p at 60 Hz, you'll be good there. The 1070 Ti isn't going to slow you down one bit. Also, I can hear some of you complaining about the Ryzen 5 being a bottleneck for the 1070 Ti. If you're running at 1080p and you want to get 200 FPS, sure, you're not going to be able to hit it with the Ryzen 5. But as long as you go 1440p or even some light 4K, this thing is not going to slow you down any bit compared to a Coffee Lake system, so you don't have to fret with going Ryzen. Especially in the South African build where we've got a 3200 MHz RAM kit. And listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get Coffee Lake. Far from it, actually. Coffee Lake has its place, and if you want to choose to go with an 8600K for the higher core clocks, absolutely do that. But the big reason that we would go with Ryzen 5 over Coffee Lake is the fact that it has more cores and threads for the price. Also, consider the fact that every AM4 motherboard is supported for chips up until 2020 due to AMD's commitment to future-proofing their motherboards. That's an amazing thing, because with Coffee Lake, you have no idea what the future generation is going to hold and whether or not Intel's going to support the socket. It might be a one-generation board, but AM4, for all of its weaknesses for the lower clock speed on Ryzen, does give us upgradability next year if you don't like the 6-core 12-thread 4 GHz CPU from Ryzen 5. You should be able to upgrade to Ryzen Plus or Ryzen 2 or whatever the heck that we're going to call it because of AMD's commitment to support the AM4 socket. Now realistically, I don't expect that all of you guys are going to have the money for this type of build, but that's why we started with the $500 build last time. So we wanted to give the budget first, but we're going $1,000 this video, we're going $2,000 in the next video. We want to make sure everybody's covered and you know what to buy. Obviously, there's things that you're going to be disagreeing with us on. There might be stuff that you want to splurge on, and you might want to go with Ryzen 3-4 so you can include all of these Corsair LL120 RGB fans. You want a dope RGB system, you're going to have to pony up the cash and you're going to have to cut the corner somewhere. Or maybe you don't like all of this NVIDIA shilling and you want to go with Vega. Well, you can totally buy Vega, except for you're going to have to cut the corners on everything and pick up like a Ryzen 3 with an A320 motherboard because Vega's pricing's insane right now. We got 2 Vegas right here. We got 2 Vegas right here. What are you going to do about it? You can't do nothing about it because we got all the Vegas. Oh, jeez. No. Gosh dang it. The point of these videos isn't for us to tell you what to do. It's for us to give you some examples of what you should be looking at for your builds. For a $1,000 budget, you can get a really capable 1440p 60 Hz capable gaming system. For $500, you should be expecting to game at 1080p. And for $2,000, well, you'll have to wait till the next video for that one. Anyways, I hope that this type of video has been helpful to you. I hope that our recommendations at least give you a place of where to start in your PC building adventure. So if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button, show support for what we're doing here, subscribe to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content, including the $2,000 build that's coming up next. And also, if you're looking to pick up any of the parts that we mentioned or anything else for your PC build, you can use our Amazon affiliate code down in the video description. It doesn't cost you a cent, but it gives us a small kickback that helps us out a lot. Also, we're trying a little new format with this type of video. Be sure to let us know what you think down in the comments or over on Twitter. I am at UFDisciple. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you think of these types of videos. Let me know. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers. See, I've got the energy. Okay, are you good?
Yeah.
Are you rolling?
Yeah.